Books. My name is Kim. Today I am bringing you my ranking wrap-up of the books that I read in the month of November. And to give you some statistics of what I did, I managed to read 14 of the 18 books that I had planned to read. I DNF'd one book, and there are 3 that are being carried over to the month of December. The book that I did DNF, it was Hidden Deep. Not what I thought it was going to be about. That book is by Amy Patrick, and it is actually the start of a series of books. I really thought it was going to be something different, but it is the type of YA books that I don't enjoy. There's a lot of high school drama, and it was just not what I was thinking. I thought it was going to be a little bit more mysterious, a little bit more creepy, and it completely turned into something completely different. So not what I was expecting, so I did go on and DNF that book. I got a few chapters in, and it just couldn't hold my attention. I didn't really want to pick up that particular book. All right, so one of the books that is going over to December is The Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. I'm really only able to really read this on Saturdays because this time of year, if you've ever been in schools, getting ready for Christmas break is a nightmare. So I'll come home exhausted pretty much every night, and that's why my filming schedule has been on the fritz, as well as some technology issues. If you follow me on Twitter, you know my phone decided to commit suicide in water, so I'm now trying to get used to a new phone and filming and all of that. It was just a complete disaster last week. But this book is being carried over. Again, if you want to join me on the Caravan group, look for the group called The Classics, and we are attempting this. I am between pages 128 and 129. I did get a little bit more read on Saturday, this past Saturday, so we're still working on that book. The next book that has been moved over is Forbidden Magic by Cheyenne McCrae. I'm not very far into this one. I keep picking it up. I get into it, then I put it down, and then I don't come back to it for a while. But I did get to chapter 4, which is page 41. So I really need to give it some more love. This is on kind of the chopping block. Am I keeping it? Am I not? When I do pick it up and get into the flow, I'm really enjoying it, but then something else pops up, and then my mind goes somewhere else, and I'm having a hard time picking that particular book back up. The book that did get moved over was Deadly Descendant, but I had read Dark Descendant, so I did put it in the mix. And we'll talk about that one more, but it's in this bound copy, so this whole book had to be moved in and out to keep it in order for that. So that would be my 3rd book that did get moved over to December. All right, so enough of those. Some kind of housekeeping business. So let us get into the ranking. Again, I'll start with my least favorite, and then I'll move into my top book at the end. All right, the very first book, that is book number 14. I really did not care for it. I love the idea of the book. I love the plot. I love that it is a murder mystery, finding out what happened to her. She disappeared. They thought she was dead, but they weren't for sure. And they were going to solve it on a podcast series, which was very a modern take on that type of thing. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and that's about it. Had a lot going for it, but the actual execution of the book was not done well at all. There are only 9 chapters in the book, but they are well over 50. Some of them were over 100 pages per chapter, and my attention span just could not hold up to it. And the favorite parts that I enjoyed the most were when they were doing kind of the interview podcast talking, and I did not care for the subplot at all. So there's that one. That's by Gregory Sterner. Coming in at book 13, this is Asylum by Madeline Rowe. It was okay. Had a lot, again, going for it. I don't understand the cover at all, since your main protagonist actually is a boy. Even the main ghost type person was male, so I didn't get the cover at all. Again, it borderlines the type of YA that I do like. It was kind of creepy, but it didn't take it far enough. Even some of my other YAs that were creepy were done better than this particular one was. And then this, I like you, I don't like you, I like you, but that type of thing, I guess because I deal with that all day, every day, just wasn't a favorite of mine. All right, coming in at book 12, this is Year 1 by Nora Roberts. I like the overall story. That was really good. And I've read a lot of her books, but this one was felt very rushed in areas and very abrupt in others. So that's why it came down a little bit further. But I did enjoy it enough that I want to read book 2. I think it's called Of Bone, Blood and Bone, I think is what the next book in the series called. Don't quote me on that. But I think that might be the name of it. Somewhere in here it is. Yeah, Of Blood and Bone is book 2. So I enjoyed it enough that I want to do that, but I think I want to do it via Audible, so I might enjoy it a little bit more and not have that abrupt feeling to it. Very dark, which I enjoyed. More kind of realistic of what humanity would probably do if something like this actually did occur. So I did enjoy that. Just some of the technical issues, which to me doesn't go in her normal writing style, so that was a little bit different for me. But I enjoyed it enough that I do want to continue the series. All right, coming in, sorry, let me put that back down. Book 11, this is Fantasy Lover, and I'll put a picture up on the screen for you guys by Sherilyn Kenyon. I did enjoy the book, not as much as when I originally read it, so it was kind of a reread for me. And I haven't read it in years, and if I remember right, I enjoyed it early 20s, but it was, after I read some of her others, it did not stay as one of my favorite of her books, but not bad as an introduction to this genre by her. So I liked it enough that I would keep it, and I have it, I believe, on Audible is where I have that particular book. So would recommend her as an author. It is good if you like mythology. If you don't, you probably would not like this particular book. All right, coming in at book number 10, this is Edge of Hunger by Rhiannon Bird. This was one that was a reread to determine whether it's going to stay on my shelf. And if you'll notice over here, I brought the rest of the series that I own over here to my shelf, so I did enjoy it to bring it in. So once I got into the flow, it went fairly fast. Just getting in the flow here recently has been a struggle. Alright, so coming in at book 9 is my bound copy, and Nyx is coming in, being a little pushy, and hopefully she's not going to scratch me. We've got to share space. So coming in, book 9 out of this bound copy is Dark Descendant. I did enjoy it. Again, if you're not into mythology, you're not going to like this series. Book 1 was very well done in it. I did go on and start reading book 2, which was Deadly Descendant. It did start hitting me in the feels towards the end of it. And this is by Jenna Black, as my fingers are covering it up. The Nikki Glass series, so I am enjoying this. So I definitely will continue and finish out book 2 in December. All right, coming in at number 8, I'll put a picture up on the board for the next several books on the board, on the screen for you. Coming in at number 8 is Key of Light. This is by Nora Roberts. I love this trilogy that she has done. Key of Light, and then I want to continue on with re-listening / reading the Key of Light trilogy, I think is what it's called. Great story. It is magic based, trying to right wrongs that have occurred. Really, I don't have the same problems as I did with Year 1 with this particular one, but it is more on the romance side with a little twists and turns and a little darkness. Whereas Year 1 is not so much on the romance side, it's more of the magic side, which is a lot darker. So that might be the difference, I'm not sure. But I do enjoy Key of Light, definitely is going to stay with me, and I'll reread it in the future or re-listen to it in the future. Okay, coming in at 7, 6, and 5, and 4 is the part of the Dragoneer series. 8 was Key of Light. 7 is Between the Kingdoms. 6 was Outpost. 5, Ariana Stands, and 4 is Prince. So I do enjoy this series, but I think what I'm finding is I'm probably getting a little burned out on it because Outpost and Between the Kingdoms, it took me a little bit longer to get through them. Not that they're not good books, but I wanted to read something else after already reading the other first 3 books. Okay, so great books. If you love dragons, I would highly recommend it. So with the Dragoneer series, it does take on and goes into the shift from the male patriarchy ruling and jobs that can be held by men, and kind of switching it over to females can actually do this type of job, and it doesn't have to just be men or males in the role of the Dragoneer and protecting the kingdom and that sort of thing. The Dragoneer series, I would say, is a high fantasy. It's a whole completely new world, magic system, and all of that type of thing going on in the books. So definitely, if you're not into high fantasy, you probably would not enjoy this as much. I will say they are shorter books. A lot of the high fantasy that I have gotten or I have read have been really big books, which can be kind of intimidating, because they're generally much larger chapters, those types of things that I just don't have the attention span for. But definitely, if you're into dragons, you're into fantasy, you will probably enjoy that as well. So again, 4, 5, 6, and 7, they're all from this series, and that's a pretty good ranking for them. Coming in at book number 3, this is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I absolutely didn't love it. It is a good fantasy. I would say it would probably be considered, high fantasy. It has nothing to do with our world as it is now. Completely new worlds, completely new type of system in place, who is ruling magic and the banning of magic and those who use it, all those types of things. Really did enjoy it. Wasn't sure if I would, so I've kind of heard some mixed things about it, but I'm glad I kept an open mind because I really did enjoy it enough so that I bought this second book right here to read in December, and I can't wait to continue that series. Books 1 in position 1 and 2, these could be easily interchangeable. Same, I think first 3 could probably be almost interchangeable. But coming in at book 2, this is Flame Never Dies by Rachel Vincent. Loved the first book, absolutely loved the second book. It was equally as easy to read. I love the demon aspect. I love how the kids went about defeating them, and all of that type of thing. So it is an awesome read if you are into demons and trying to save the world and all of that. So, highly, highly recommend that book as well. Again, if you've watched any of my last TBRs for the last few months, you will know, coming in at book number 1, it is from the Rotten Ruins series called Flesh and Bone by Jonathan Mayberry. Cannot rave about this author enough. Again, kind of like the Dragoneer series, I am getting a touch maybe burned out on it. Still want to finish out the series, still really enjoyed this book, but the first 2, hit all the feels. This one, you're kind of expecting it a little bit more. I'm starting to kind of have a little bit of a love-hate with the main female character and how she kind of treats the main character, Benny. That's starting to bug me a little bit more. They are both grieving, but they're grieving in different ways, but I don't think she's allowing him really to process things. But she expects him to suck up everything that she's going through. So that part's becoming a little bit rocky with me, but still highly recommend it. Again, the zombies really aren't the evil ones or the bad guys. I would say it's everyone else. So highly recommend this book. Zombies are definitely a part of it, and they're getting a little bit more gruesome parts of the book that you would expect from zombies. but there's more to it than simply here is a hack and slash zombie type book. All of the backstories, they will hit the feels every time. I hope you have enjoyed this ranking wrap-up that I have started doing with the books that I read each month. It just kind of puts them in perspective for me, and I hope you get something out of me ranking them this way. Again, what I may not enjoy and knock them down further on the list, you might really, really enjoy. So again, all of it's kind of subjective. But anyways, leave me some comments down below. Which books were your favorites? Have you read some of the others? What are your thoughts on them? I would love to hear from you guys. And until my next video, I hope you have a good one. Bye.